Your name?
John Obermeyer. I'm relatively new here, so I don't have any old stories. I do have one of the, I guess in a sense, the good old days of banking. My wife and I were traveling up to Minnesota, and we had an accident in Wisconsin. She broke her neck, and she was in the hospital there. And I was going to have to stay with her for several weeks and be up there. And I needed some money. Those were the days before credit cards. And so I had my checkbook with me. And I went into the local bank and said, talked to the manager. I said, can I write a check? And he says, well, what do you want to write a check for? And I told him. And I said, I need $500. I have to get a motel and all that kind of thing and stay there. And he said, well, I'm not so sure about that, that I can just cash a check on your say-so. And I said, well, I do have an account at a bank in Cleves, Ohio. And I knew the number and all. And I knew the manager, Betty Wilson. And he said, well, let me try this. I'll give her a call and see what she says. And he called the number and asked for her. She got on the line, I guess. And he's sitting there and he's looking at me. He's saying, I have a John Obermeyer here that wants to cash a check for $500. And then he says, yeah, we could do that. And he started looking at me. And I imagine she would say something, and he would say, yes, yes, and yes, okay. So he hung up, and he says, all right, we'll honor your check for $500. And he said, I guess you wonder why. And he said, she was describing you. And I found out later the principal description was he's bald.
Back then, John, you were bald?
Oh, yes.
He was like
In
me,
a
he was
while.
bald early.